any of the other LLMs, large language models, you could consider yourself to be like this, an AI intermediate or even an AI expert. Now, companies have matured a little bit and they want to actually see that you know how to implement and do like specific things utilizing the AI. It's not just, hey, have you worked with it? It is, can you build a model? Can you teach a model? Can you integrate it into a workflow? Um, that was one of the cool projects I got to do 5, 6 years ago, kind of when AI was relatively new. We actually baked, we were taking a data storage model that was basically on premises, and converting it to a cloud based solution. Um, and we wanted a way to recognize what type of data that the users were uploading, because dependent upon the data that was getting uploaded, it had, different paths that it had to traverse down, um, within our microservice pipeline to basically format the data correctly in the database. So for about 6 months, we basically taught this LLM to recognize based on like metadata and, what folder structures different folders had, um, and created a pretty cool kind of decision maker part of the pipeline. Um, so like also things like being able to recognize when, a model, an AI model is experiencing hallucinations, and how to like correct that. That's one of the larger shifts that I've seen within my career, especially like with something as big as AI. Um, so again, the market has been flooded with applications. There's a desperate lack of like senior level architectural thinkers. So people that actually can write clean code and write maintainable code. Um, that's becoming very necessary. Um, the amount of legacy code that we are having to support in the states. Um, I knew one guy probably 10 years ago that was making like $500,000 US because he could write Fortran. Um, I think he was in his 60s. And so, like, obviously, like, it's going to cost them less money to pay this guy $500,000 a year to maintain this application as opposed to, like, rewrite it in something more current, like Python or, um, you know, Next.js. So, obviously being able to write and maintain clean code is becoming very important. Um, so some specific skill sets, um, that I'm seeing being very necessary either now or in the very near future. Um, if you want to be indisposable in 2026, you need to master two realms: technical and architectural. Uh, when it comes to AI, the technical AI fluency is now like a baseline expectation. It's not a bonus anymore. It's not something like that you get to write on your resume and say, "Hey, I have AI experience." Um, it's almost required, um, as well as like cloud architecture. And obviously, you have the big three. You have AWS, Azure, which is like Microsoft's cloud solution, and then GCP, which is Google's. And companies are really, really looking for like a good combination of those two. So like an AI driven cloud architecture with strong cybersecurity. Um, those are the fastest paths to like high paying roles within the US. So if you can demonstrate a strong understanding of how to combine AI cloud with good security, you're putting your foot on on good solid ground for being necessary with at least one company in the States. Um, there are some soft skills that will set you apart. Um, kind of hybrid roles. So US companies now want developers who understand business strategy. They need people who excel at technical communication, developers who can explain why they chose a specific architecture to like a product manager, one of the higher up directors or VPs that don't understand code. They can't look at a line of code and know why a developer chose to do it that way. I can't tell you the number of times I've had like uh someone who graduated business school asking me, "Well, why did you do it that way?" And then having to explain them in non-technical terms why I made the choices, the decisions that I had made. So one of the key things we all try to do is stand out among like a sea of applications or applicants. Um, what makes a candidate stand out? U.S. companies are receiving thousands of applications for a single job opening. So to stand out, you must be an AI ready candidate. So workflow integration, outcome over output, and a culture ad. So one of the kind of the main shifts from the first 10 years of my career to the last 10 years is basically the kind of like the whole life cycle of software. If you guys are familiar with like the old waterfall approach, where we are going to give you all of the requirements up front. We're going to say, all right, in 2 years, you're going to bring back the finished product, and then, you're going to be done. We'll review it. As opposed to now, it is a lot more, even in like a big organization like the government, it is a lot more focused on like agile development. So doing things in much shorter periods of time. So taking smaller chunks, doing part of it, going back to the customer saying, hey, is this still what you want? And then going and developing another part of that site or application or uh, whatever you're building. So you're getting quicker feedback. You're able to adapt to changes a lot more quickly. So not just being able to write cleaner code, being able to write code faster, being able to adapt to change quicker. Um, it's definitely a much faster paced environment than it was, um, 10 plus years ago. I remember one of the first kind of big projects I ever did by myself. I basically was handed this stack of paper that had was a requirements document. They're like, in 18 months, we want you to, you know, drop off this, the completed code. And I was like, okay, can I ask questions? And they're like, occasionally, we're not gonna schedule very many of these get together meetings. We're just gonna rely on you being able to take this document and deliver this application. And in my head, I'm thinking well, if I deliver what you want now, is it gonna be what you want then? And it wasn't, of course. Obviously, needs change, policy changes, everything changes. And if you're not able to adapt to those changes mid development, even if you develop the perfect application, it most likely will not be what they want by the time that, you're supposed to be done. So, being able to adapt to the agile form of development is definitely key with any company, even your larger Microsofts, your Googles especially, they're all about culture. I know a lot of the big companies even have you'll go there and you'll see really cool slides going from one level to another. And I was interviewing at one such company. I was like, man, people people are here 60, 70 hours a week. And they're like, yeah, so we have to give them something fun to do while they're here. Because we don't want them to leave. At least this guy was being honest. So, um, obviously the expectations are a lot more fast paced, and you end up giving a lot to the companies that you're working for. So you definitely want to like what they represent, and um, you know, believe that you have some growth up potential with those companies. Um, so let's talk specifically on freelancing. Um, so what are the biggest mistakes freelancers make with U.S. clients? Start there. Working with a U.S. client is can be very lucrative, but many fail due to three silent killers: underpricing. Um, this is a reputation trap. In 2026, low rates attract difficult clients who micromanage and don't value your expertise. So you want to sell your skills, not results. Excuse me. Um, Clients don't pay for editing a video. They pay for a 50% increase in viewer retention. and communication gaps. So failing to set clear boundaries or scope leads to project derailment, and U.S. clients value proactive transparency above all else. So the competitive edge for developers, specifically in Pakistan. Um, so how can Pakistani developers compete globally? Well, Asia Pacific, man, excuse me, sorry, the Asia Pacific region is the fastest growing tech hub in the world. To win, Pakistani developers must pivot from from being service providers to strategic partners. Vibe coding and personality don't let your portfolio become gray. Infuse your work with your unique creative identity. Master the management of AI. The future developer is a manager of AI agents. If you can direct, review, and orchestrate AI tools better than a developer in Eastern Europe or South America, you're going to win the contract. You're going to get the job. And specializations. Generalists are being replaced by AI. Specialize in high growth niches like data engineering or cloud security, where the talent gap is the widest. So something I kind of did on a whim is I wanted to see how far behind or how advanced, the best AI models are when it comes to developing software. Um, so I took my expertise and sat down with one of the larger AI um, data models, and I had an idea for some software. And so I gave it some criteria and basically guided it in the right direction. Um, and it took a decent amount of time, but I ended up getting a product that was relatively easy to maintain, worked quite well, minimal bugs, and functioned almost as good as had I written it myself. And one of the things that teaches or needs to teach you is even if you don't necessarily understand the syntax of the language, if you can conceptualize how to put the pieces together, uh, utilizing something like AI, like ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, you can build pretty decent software. So, like I had mentioned, something that will set yourself apart is you find some of these high aptitude niches, um, things that AI would struggle to be able to compete with if not guided by the right individual. Um, so let's talk about like how, again, on paper, how to set yourself apart. So basically, I called this section the ultimate credential. Certificates, degrees, or real projects. The verdict for 2026 is clear. Real projects and skills based hiring have won. While degrees still open doors, 81% of companies now use skills assessments to hire individuals. A university name matters less than a hands on portfolio. The hierarchy, excuse me, real world projects, highest value, high level certifications, next, for instance, like AWS solutions architects. All of those things are more important to companies than a college degree. Um, so basically, like, I see the roadmap as being, if you are choosing a path today, here's what I would recommend. Cloud ops or cloud and DevOps. This is the most stable and in demand field as companies transition to intelligence, resilient architecture. Number two is AI infrastructure. Not just using AI, but building the pipelines or the plumbing, um, the data engineering that feeds an AI model. Third is cybersecurity. This remains the most recession proof area in tech because as long as there's tech out there, people are going to want to keep it safe. Fourth is full stack. Um, Still relevant, but we're definitely shifting away from full stack developers uh, to low code, no code integration. To survive here, you must be a specialist in complex custom logic that AI can't handle yet. And the key word here is yet, because every day, AI is improving. So eventually, I won't say there's going to be no place for full stack. It's just going to be a lot slimmer than it even is today. So, in conclusion, the US market doesn't want coders, it wants problem solvers. Be the architect of your own career, focus on outcomes, master the cloud, and embrace AI as your co pilot. The word the world is looking for talent. Make sure you see yours. Thank you, and I'll open up the floor to questions.
Hello, Joshua. It's Mashal here. Um, it was a very enlightening session, and once again, I would like to thank you for all the knowledge you have shared. Since I'm a banker for last more than a decade now, so considering a banker, we think earlier capital was the king, but now I think data is the king. So considering that thing, what do you think? Should be since I want to move towards this side as a banker, what do you recommend? Which think or which field should I opt in IT sector that can actually gel both sides, like my business experience and the IT experience, and which skill set should I learn to enter into this field and capitalize in the upcoming for the upcoming the AI revolution that we are facing. Since you already mentioned that now it's the era of low code no code. I would like you to give me some suggestions about that. And if I want to tap the US market, what from my experience, what specific course or specific project should I work on to become relevant, and what pricing should I set, and how should I set the pricing for that thing? Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Um, so I'll try to hit each one of these in order. Coming from like the financial world, I would highly recommend getting into something like big data or data engineering. Um, Obviously, that would feed directly into building AI models and um, being able to create the pipelines around specific AI models. Um, and again, fortunately, that is one of the top tier um, focuses within computer science that companies are really looking for. Not just, hey, have you touched AI, but can you engineer it? Can you architect it? Um, let's see here. What else? You asked what projects to like work on, um, what languages. I
Actually,
would,
which specific? I wanted to know that which specific. Since I am from a non-technical background, so which line or which field should I opt, or which specific courses should I go for? To keep my field relevant and to tap into the this AI world and make myself, an asset in this world.
yes. So, like, again, I'll touch on data engineering. As a banker, as someone from finance, you are dealing with lots of accounts, lots of information, lots of numbers. And that is very similar to the type of information that you're going to be dealing with when it comes to data engineering, like data lakes, data warehouses. Um, all of those things are pivotal when it comes to building a competent, smart AI model. It is all based on data. Uh, and coming from your sector, that is a strength that you're bringing. Um, so I definitely think that would be my recommendation is focusing in on data engineering. Um,
Thank you so much.
one of the things,
What
yeah,
else?
absolutely. And you also asked about pricing.
Yes, exactly.
Um, in the US, a junior engineer with 1 to 2 or 3 years of experience can realistically make low 70K to close to 100K. Anywhere from 3 years to 7 years, you're looking at between 100K and 150K. And by K, I mean thousand. From 7 years to 15 years, you're more of a senior developer. You're probably in the 150 to 200. And then anything over 15 years, you would be basically like a principal or architect level. And obviously, like, it is not just like how many years in the field you have. It is what kind of skills you're bringing to the table and how gung ho you are to like learn new things and get your hands dirty when like your boss is asking for someone to step up and solve a problem. Um, and then over 15 years, you're anywhere over the 200K mark. Um, that has been my experience. I've hired a lot of people. I've interviewed a lot of people, and they usually fall somewhere within those ranges.
Thank you so much. It was very helpful.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Any other have question? you can ask directly from Joshua. Actually, uh, Joshua has very busy time, and I requested him. So it's best opportunity. So you can learn a lot of things, and you have learned a lot of things from Joshua. And further, you can ask any question about US market. He will answer in detail. Thank you. Joshua, can you add some local marketplace that
Sir, I have a question from sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Sir, this is an irrelevant question from our class. I know about the market of USA, about the trucking, because I have a company of KSG Freight Link. Do you know about the?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up at the end. I wasn't able to hear what you were asking. Sorry. Hello? Did we lose him, Riaz?
yeah, I think he have disconnected. One
Okay.
question I have in mind that can you share some local market URL that is hiring on contract basis or hourly basis instead of Fiverr, Upwork that are fully jammed and full saturated? Can you share some local marketplaces or local websites that are basically hiring on hourly basis or contract basis? So anyone want to apply on that, he can apply instead of going to saturated market in Fiverr, Upwork, etc.
Sure. I can list off a handful. Um Now, whether or not they have remote jobs versus requiring on site. Um so handful of companies like MasterCard. Um I know that they have a handful of openings out there, the credit card company. Um, I don't know if you guys are familiar with credit reporting agencies like Equifax or oh, what's one of the other ones? There's three main credit reporting agencies. I know Equifax is one of them, and I just saw a whole bunch of jobs get posted from them. Um, let's see here. I had a handful written down. Um, Synack, Synack. They're based out in California. I know they have some remote jobs open. Um, United Healthcare. Um, I know they have some remote work.
If possible, please can you write on a chatting? That will be more easy to understand that that URL we can find out from chat. If possible, please.
Yes, I will add a handful of these to the chat. Give me a second. Let me open up the chat.
Any PHP related also, cause I have experience in 25-year experience in the PHP languages and some website development and software development as well. And if you have some info for that one, please share that as well. Thank you.
Yep. And if you guys want, I can also, even after the meeting, I can go and look for, like, if anybody has any additional questions, or like, hey, I'm pretty good at this language. Have you seen any jobs open um, that have this type of requirements? Um, then I will definitely look and see what I can find. Um, so a handful of the bigger ones are like healthcare, um, United Healthcare. All right. So one of the other questions was about tax jobs and accounting or bookkeeping. Um, the only recommendation I have there is some of the main software. There's two companies that have kind of the market cornered in U.S. tax law. One is called TurboTax, and the other one is H&R Block. So regarding taxes, those are the two companies that have to have new software come out every year. Um, Based on new and like reoccurring tax changes. So web developer, web applications, that's a lot of different companies. I mean, as long as they're not looking for a DBA, and as long as you have like experience in, JavaScript, React. I think most companies have went away from Angular. Um, React has pretty much won that war. Um, Sales. Um, there's still a few big kind of box stores like Walmart. Some of but they all kind of use like a standard POS or point of sale system. Square Square. That's a big one for sales systems. Um, Google and Apple both have their own. So Google Pay are both. I think Amazon's starting to get like an Amazon Pay now too. So obviously, like one of the big Apple, Google, or Amazon. If you're focusing on like pay and sales specific things, those are probably like a lot of the new cell phones in the US have NFC built in. So for touch pay, um, I know I don't leave home without my cell phone, and I got pretty much everything tied into, you know, that's how I pay for most things. It's touch pay. So Again, I will go and see when I get back today. I will come up with a handful more companies that people can look at, and I'll try to focus on remote jobs. Absolutely, I really appreciate everybody that joined us.
Yeah, uh, that would be a great sport if you help us to find uh, jobs in USA market. Mostly people are looking for remotely jobs in USA market, and as you know well that mostly Pakistanis are hardworking and honest people, and they are working uh, days and nights to meet their expenses. But if they get any job in US market, then it would be a great favor from your side, and later on, and we can also share some CVs with you if you are okay, and you can find or you can suggest at some companies that these are the good developers, these are the uh, those are the good guys that you can take interview and check their ability. So it would be a great favor. And your second session was very informative, and hope so you will give us time from your precious time again in future. And next time we will be more ready with a lot of questions, so we can gain a lot of knowledge from your side, and further your support or from our side it would be continue. And thank you again for your time. And at the end, what are your final words so you can end, and we can disconnect this meeting. Thank you. Please,
Sure.
can you add some words for some suggestions, some advices to our community, so they must focus on give just one to two suggestions that would be a more beneficial for them.
Absolutely. So, one thing before I give my suggestions, I will say I will drop the link to my LinkedIn page in this chat after the meeting's done. So, anybody that wants to connect and stay in touch, um, I'll have it there. Um, my advice, one thing I have said in every single interview that I've ever been in and will ever be in is there's been a massive paradigm shift between the importance of what you know versus now it is how quick you can find out the things that you don't know. So focus very, very heavily on your what I call Google Fu instead of Kung Fu, Google Fu. Um, how well you Google something. So whether it just be the answer to a question or being able to, once you understand one computer language, you should be able to take those paradigms and those understandings, and as long as you have a way to convert those into a different syntax, you know, so it's not as important about knowing as much information as it used to be, because it used to be a lot harder to find out those things. Now it's more important to be able to find out the things that you don't know quickly. Also, write clean code. If your code is so clean that you don't even need comments in it, because the variables are named meaningfully, the methods are named meaningfully. Your methods aren't 100 and some odd lines long. I will tell you, I worked on one application. One method, one function was 2,500 lines long. and it was a pain in the butt, and no one wanted to touch it because anytime you touched it, something would break, and it didn't have unit tests around it, so it was a nightmare. So, try to focus on writing clean code. Have unit tests because that way you know when something breaks. And write things in small modules, like, because anytime code is repeated, it can be reused. Be efficient, smart, work smart, not hard. And I think I'll leave you guys with that one. Work smart, not hard. Or work smart and hard, but definitely work smart. And I wish you guys all the best. And like I said, I will leave my LinkedIn link in this chat after the meeting. Thank you guys all very much, and I really appreciate it. And I look forward to talking with you guys again, and maybe coming back and doing another one of these.
Thank you everyone, and thank you Joshua for your
Absolutely.
kind time, and thank you.
Have a great day.
Have a good day. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
अच्छा, तमाम कम्युनिटी से मेरी एक थोड़ी सी गुजारिश थी कि इस तरह के ना हम बहुत से सेशंस हम कोशिश करें कि आप लोगों के लिए अरेंज करें। अभी कल साइबर सिक्योरिटी का एक छोटा सा सेशन हमने रखा था, उसमें बहुत कम लोग थे, 5-6 लोग थे। तो मतलब कोशिश किया करें कि कोई अगर इस तरह का हम इवेंट रखते हैं तो ये आप लोगों के लिए ही होता है, तो आप लोग मतलब इसको शेयर करके बाकी ज़्यादा लोगों को भी लाया करें ताकि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बेनिफिट गेन किया जा सके। तो इसी तरह से ना अभी मैं एक और हैं जो कंपनी की ऑनर हैं, मैम तोलानी, तो उनको मैंने इनवाइट किया है। वो शायद नेक्स्ट वीक में हमें टाइम दें। तो वो यूएसए मार्केट के अंदर तकरीबन 5 कंपनियों की ऑनर है, और मेरी खुद की टीम 4 बंदों की टीम उन्होंने हायर की हुई है। तो इस तरह से बहुत से लोग हैं मतलब जिनको हम ऑन बोर्ड कर सकते हैं। और देखें, यूएसए मार्केट के अंदर तो हर कोई जाना चाहता है, लेकिन मतलब कि एग्जैक्ट जो उधर बैठा हुआ है ना, वो बता सकता है कि क्या चल रहा है, और बाकी हम इधर से सुनी सुनाई बातों पे तो यकीन कर लेते हैं, लेकिन जो एक बंदा इन मार्केट है वो बेहतर गाइड कर सकता है। तो बस ये रिक्वेस्ट थी काइंडली कि आप लोग मतलब कि कम्युनिटी के अंदर या वो चैनल को शेयर कर दिया करें ताकि मैक्सिमम लोग ज्वाइन कर सकें। थैंक यू, बहुत शुक्रिया। ढेर सारी दुआ में याद रखिएगा।
सर 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 वो क्लास क्या आप आज लेंगे या नहीं, वो जो आप वेबिनार की थी, क्योंकि आज स्टूडेंट तो माशाल्लाह काफ़ी हैं, तो अगर आज पॉसिबल हो सके तो कोई टाइम बता दें।